my guidance classes, discuss their nervousness to stop by office hours, to go and talk to their instructors as just like normal human beings. They see them as instructors and have them, on a pedestal, or have great respect, or the fear that doesn't allow them to just talk to them on a regular basis of what's going on in their lives, really connecting, their world with, coming to college.
I think the greatest barrier for students is a perceived difference in status or level or rank, and just being afraid to approach professors outside of class.
I think fear is a huge element. For some reason, I think that students don't realize why we're here. We're here for them, and they don't realize that, and that keeps them from coming to see us. And so I always try to break that down in class by inviting them repeatedly to come to office hours, which is sometimes successful and sometimes not. And sometimes we meet outside of the office, near the office, so it's not quite as intimidating. But I think that fear factor and not understanding really why people go into teaching is a huge factor in them being afraid or not interacting with faculty.
So I don't sit in my office, I sit in the lab. And so if I'm just hanging out in the lab, they're much more likely to talk to me, because I noticed when I was in my office, they would come to the door and go, "I don't mean to bother you." I'm like, "You're not bothering me."
So I think our students' biggest challenge is that they view coming to the instructor's office as a negative thing, when I view it as a positive thing. So overcoming that, or reframing the dialogue that we have about coming to the instructor's office, I think would help a lot.
Faculty don't make themselves available. They're not as open. They teach and then they're done. They don't engage their students because they don't want to be friends. They want to be their professors. And so I think for an instructor to invite the student, on a regular basis, to visit them in office hours, to just come and talk, to show that they care, and to motivate them to come and speak with them, that they are a friendly person, that they do care, that they are motivating them, and they're hoping that they are as committed to their education as the professor is about their love for, their discipline.
About that, I was that student who asked, "I don't know how that paper is a B now, because when I turned it in, it was an A. So we need to talk, so I tell them, please come and talk to me, do these kind of things, be a self-advocate, don't sit back." And I said that'll serve them well in the game of school, and it'll serve them well in the game of life as well as in the game of work.
Okay, so one way for faculty to encourage students to come to their office is to rename their office hours, trying things like advice hours, actively encouraging them every day in class, reminding them of when those hours are, and setting that tone on the very first day, and really talking in an encouraging way about coming to see them.
Well, I realize that students have a busy lives and they can some not make it to our office hours. So what I do is I go to class early so I am able to speak with them. I stay late, walk with them outside, and then I encourage them to come to my office hours. And if that doesn't work, I make appointments to accommodate their schedule.
Why do you think your students come to your office hours so much?
I actually don't feel like they come often enough, and it's something that I want to address. I do conferences, so that's sort of a 1 week out of each semester. I'll take, instead of doing class, we have one-on-one conferences where we go over their paper, and then I use it as sort of it's actually graded that they come instead of a peer review. We come and I review their paper with them, but then I take the time, so that's part of the formal part of it, and then I just sort of take some time to see how the class is going, see how other things are going, and just sort of engage with them that way. And after that, I usually have more students coming to my regular office hours, so that helps.
My philosophy is that we educate the entire person, and that learning is social. And so for me, I have one type of engagement inside of the class, and I have another type of engagement outside of the class, and that makes my students visible to me. It makes them important to me, and it actually gives them an experience of more than just my subject matter, because we're going to talk about a lot more than just accounting when I have that interaction outside of class. And to me, I'm tapping into that whole person, and I think that's important in education.
And college can be such an alienating experience, and it's easy to feel anonymous, I think, as a student.
Because I've been that invisible person. I've been that person that people overlook you or people think that you don't count. And so I think I go out of my way to make sure that that's not happening in my classroom. So I see my students as individuals. I get to know them personally by their name, and that makes a huge difference. So the more I know who they are, the more likely that they will come to my office. So I think that when I break that barrier down and I let them know, I see you, I know who you are, and I care about you, and you're going to get through this class, they're more likely to not want to let me down. And they're not going to let me down, and they'll do whatever it takes, because now they're visible. They can't disappear again.
What I gain from interaction with students, I can honestly say is insights into them. What makes each student tick? Now, I know that that's time consuming, it's labor intensive, but the relationships that are built, because we go from just this student-teacher type of relationship, it builds and it gains momentum. Then I become like this coach, and then somehow I become paternal, and then the commitment and the loyalty is there, and all of a sudden they don't want to let me down. I said, it's not about me, it's about you. You don't want to let yourself down, and they become self-disciplined. And with that mutual commitment that I'm not going to break my promise to you, and it's a two-way street, out the park every time.